Who says that Friday should be a dry day if you're a regular guy? If I had it my way, who needs the highway? You'll just get a DWI. We can talk about issues and how much we miss you, whether you live near or far. Drink too much bourbon, you won't be disturbing the man in the blue and white car. It's the iBar.
What are you drinking?
What am I drinking? I'll tell you what I'm drinking. The poor man. The poor man's makers. Put it in the middle so everybody can see it. Put it in the middle of the screen. There you go. Poor man's makers right there. Got me through some tough financial times. You know, times are tough.
Times are tough.
And this month...
But Evan Williams will get you through.
This month, we're endorsing Evan Williams.
Hey, you're in the basement.
I am. We don't call it the basement. This is the production room.
You're in the Studio A.
Right. Let's get into something here. I want to discuss a few products. I used to wear those thin granny glasses because they didn't reflect as much. They were good reading glasses. They didn't get in the way. They broke. I just got these today. I saw these on eBay. They're not granny glasses. They're a little bigger. They're frameless, but they have bamboo ear thingies. I got them for $11. I thought I'd give them a try.
So they're environmentally conscious.
They're environmentally but everything looks so clear with these. I want to know how they look, though. Do they look douchey or do they look kind of stylish in today?
They look kind of... Wait, I have glasses too. Wait a minute.
Well, will you answer my question first? You took another 20 minutes out of my life. Now I got to edit. Jesus Christ. I'm in the middle of a discussion here, and now I got to do it from the beginning. You do this every time. I'm in the middle of something. Ooh, me. I got to do something first. Now I got to do it again.
No, you don't. This is great.
I got to edit it out.
This is iBar Gold.
No.
This is it. I want everyone to know what kind of maniac I'm working with.
All right, see, now I got to
You leave this in.
Now I got to act happy, but I got to tell you, I'm steaming mad.
Can I show you my glasses now?
Well, okay, sure, but because I'm in the middle of a product thing here. Go ahead. You know what?
What?
I don't have to edit this at all. Okay. Back to the news. Okay, now here's the next product. I wanted to get beer today, and I was going to buy a six-pack, and I thought, why buy a six-pack when for a lot less money I can get 3 of these? A 24-ounce Keystone Light.
Wow.
I didn't even know they made it, and you know I'm a big Keystone lover. And if they're making 24-ounce, that means they're selling it to the underemployed. People who drink on a budget on the street.
It's the new Old English.
Are you ready for product number 3?
Okay.
This one beats them all. I've never seen it. Someone got it for me. It's not a novelty. It's a real product, but a lot of people buy it as a goof. But supposedly it's big with the bums. Balls Vodka.
Uh-huh.
This is a real product, and it's supposedly...
You bought that?
No, someone bought it for me. And I'm not drinking because I'm not sure if it's even safe to drink. Because maybe it's got a little special ingredient that we don't want to talk about.
Gay people.
Wait a minute. Let me finish lighting the cigar. You're not going to say anything insensitive, are you?
No.
Okay. I just want to be clear about this. Go ahead.
Okay. May I continue?
Yeah.
Gay people are the Jeffersons of the new millennium.
That's very interesting. You know what? This is your segment. You can have it. We talking Thomas Jefferson, or we talking the ones that moved on up to the east side?
I'm tempted to say Thomas Jefferson,
But
it's the ones that moved up to the east side.
I was afraid so. Let me have it.
Well, if you remember back in the 70s,
Yeah.
when black people first started to appear on TV sitcoms, they were usually in the role of a sassy housekeeper or a shop owner or something. They were not well-defined characters, and they usually commented or ridiculed those silly white folk.
Yeah, it was offensive to people, to both black and white, in my opinion. As a kid, I was always uncomfortable.
Yeah. So we progressed from that to the neighbors.
Right. The novelty black person now became the guy next door, initially in a novelty way, such
Correct.
as in the Jeffersons. It was a character seemingly out of character because the audience was white.
Did the Jeffersons live next door to Archie Bunker?
That's where they were introduced. It was a spin-off from All in the Family.
There you go.
I was going to say.
And that progressed to the Jeffersons being the stars of the sitcom and having the silly white person involved in the show.
Like the British guy that lived upstairs with the big jaw.
Yeah,
Remember?
exactly.
And then just to bridge the gap, they had the biracial couple.
That's right.
Didn't they?
And they still had a sassy maid.
Right, and the sassy maid. That Norman Lear.
Oh,
that had to be Norman Lear.
Yeah, that was Norman Lear. So now, fast forward to the 2000s, and you got your fringe character, gay person who is a little kooky and makes those sassy remarks.
Sassy.
Right? And then that progressed to, say, the gay couple next door or somebody's relatives or something, but a more prominent role on the show. And then now they have their own shows.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are. So the question is, what's next?
Well, I think we're right at that spot. That's a good point, because even though the Jeffersons had moved on up, they still had that cliche All in the Family character that made it funny to the audience, which basically was a white audience. The show was clearly marketed toward a white audience. Not like, let's say, Sanford and Son, which was for everybody. It didn't have take a black guy and put him in a white neighborhood, take the black guy and suddenly give him a lot of money. It's hysterical. You just took an older guy with a son. The son had a creepy friend. Everybody, life was just a little goofy. It was a father-son thing. It was not a black thing. And then you had the other extreme, which was also Norman Lear, which was Good Times. But in my opinion, still, I think it was marketed towards a white audience. Because that's what Norman Lear liked. That's a good sentence. That's what Norman Lear liked to do. Take a situation and make it look like it's for this group, but he's targeting it to this group, and this group watches it thinking they're spying on that group. Whether the intention is good or bad doesn't make a difference. It's brilliant marketing. But you still had JJ to have the silly black. You need a silly black guy in every show in the 70s. So even in a black family, in a black neighborhood where all their friends were black, you still had to have the silly black guy. I went to Holy Cross High School. There were 3 black kids in the whole school, and we all knew who JJ was. We knew more about JJ than they knew more about Vinnie Barbarino. And they weren't watching Welcome Back, Kotter. They were like, "Are you kidding me?" There was
a black kid in the class, right?
And actually, he was not token by any means, in my opinion. He was one of the more normal ones. Vinnie Barbarino was the token. Of course, Arnold Horshack. You took all these, tough kids from a tough area in Brooklyn, and then you threw the skinny little Jewish kid as part of their gang. If you watch it now, if you look back on it, that was one of the corniest, dumbest shows. Cliche 70s garbage that you could ever see. The characters were all fun and everything. The first year of it was good. But after that, it was just stupid.
Jumping the shark, as it were.
With his anorexic wife.
Were there any black people on Happy Days?
There was towards the end. Richie Cunningham had a friend named Sticks something, because they had the band, and he was the drummer. And he always carried drumsticks in his back pocket.
So, will you come to my party?
To play drums with you guys?
Yeah.
You never even heard me play.
Yeah, but I figure you gotta be a good drummer because, you know...
Look out, here we go again.
No. I mean, you gotta be a good drummer because they call you Sticks, right?
No, man, they call me Sticks because I'm skinny.
I don't think I stuck with the show that long.
The first 2 years were great.
Yeah, maybe the first 2 years, and then I had better things to do.
Once it hit a live studio audience, it was dumb. Then the spinoff was Joni Loves Chachi.
Yeah.
And Joni lives in a trailer now. She was living in a trailer with some guy she met at a bar. She's like dead broke.
That was the premise of the show?
No, that's now. It's going on right now. Joni's like broke. She like lives in a trailer with some guy that she met, and the guy's like, well, I saw her in the bar, and I said to myself, is that Joni Cunningham? God damn it, she sure was. But you know what? She was nice. Not like the other stuck-up Hollywood broads I met. What is the name of that show? Will and Grace. I didn't think it was a bad show. I actually thought it was very good. And the reason why is because even though the lawyer character, her roommate, was gay, they didn't make him the gay guy. You know, Raymond Burr was gay.
Get out of here.
You didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
He had a wife and kids, but the last 20 years of his life, he lived with a partner, and he wasn't openly gay, but he was not closed about it either. His friends knew about it.
Raymond Burr, the last 20 years of his life.
Last 20 years of his life.
And found some guy to live with him?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now I want you to think for a minute about looking down between your legs and seeing Raymond Burr.
Okay, so now you're being insensitive and you're making fun of homosexuality, which you can't. I make fun of heterosexuality.
I'm not making fun of homosexuality. I'm making fun of the idea of Raymond Burr.
Well, okay. Well, it'd be like if you were talking about two heterosexuals and you talked about
Ernest Borgnine
and Ethel Merman. And then let's look at what's her name, Ellen DeGeneres. When she was the first one to be a gay sitcom character in terms of, where you didn't expect and you were surprised by. And people, like a lot of the talk radio guys called her Ellen DeGenerate. And it was so stupid because I remember seeing the episode saying, this isn't offensive at all. It was funny. And she really took a hit for it. And she was, I shouldn't say blacklisted, but certainly a risk for a good number of years. And if you ever watch a talk show,
yeah,
it's great. I don't want to see what's his name that married Connie Chung. What's his name? Maury Povich, telling people you are not the father.
You are not the father.
And they're giving each other high fives, and then the woman's on the floor crying, and the audience is laughing at her. This is sick. This is absolutely sick. I'm going back to Ellen. I said to him a couple weeks ago, I was watching Ellen DeGeneres the other day, and he said, what? How can you watch that crap? I was like, have you ever seen the show? He said, no. I said, how can you say it's crap? He said, because she's a lesbian. I said, I'm going to have to bleep out the name I said before.
Did you ever, when you were a kid, go out and poke somebody in the eye or hit them in the head with a hammer or take a saw and pull it across their head?
I almost did once.
Really?
I was 5 years old. We were kidding around. Me and my friend Peter were chasing this kid Jerry around the house, and we were laughing.
With a hammer?
No, he ran one way and we ran the other way. Then we went, whoa! We were doing Three Stooges stops and go, whoop, 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 whoop. We were running, and then I picked up a hammer. And I said to Peter, when he comes around again, let's hit him in the head with the hammer. And Peter said, he took it away from me. Thank God. He was like 6.5. I was 5. He said, no, you're going to hurt him. Because we were playing the Three Stooges game. And I was like, really? He said, of course. I almost cracked him in the head with a hammer. I said to my kids, when we watched Tom and Jerry and when we watched the Three Stooges, I said to them, it's funny. People say it's violent and it's bad. It's not bad if you understand that you can't do it in real life. And I always said to them, I like cowboy movies. I love cowboy movies. But that doesn't mean I'm going to load up my gun and go outside and start shooting Indians. Or going up to people and saying, draw. So you got to understand, fantasy is healthy, it's fun. But when you decide to turn it into reality, then, you know, you play with fire. You know?
So that's some good advice for our younger viewers out there.
So yeah, just because we're drinking Evan Williams on the big screen, it doesn't mean that you should. You should go out there and get a good bottle of Maker's Mark. Which reminds me of a joke I heard.
Uh-huh.
A door-to-door salesman. He's knocking on doors selling encyclopedias. He opens up, he walks up to a door and knocks on the door, and the door opens up. And inside the house is an 8-year-old boy. He's wearing a bathrobe. He's got a snifter of bourbon in one hand. He's got a cigar in his mouth. And he's got a Penthouse magazine under his arm. And the kid goes, "What can I do for you?" And the guy's like kind of a little confused. He goes, I'm sorry, I didn't expect to, you know, I didn't expect you to answer the door. He goes, "Is your mother home?" And the kid goes, "What the fuck do you think?" Remember in the 70s, all the cool white people said, "What's wrong with graffiti? I think if they're going to paint and be creative, make the trains look better. What's the problem?" Remember that? There was a movie called Beat Street where it glorified graffiti, and it was pretty funny. And he does this long, meaningful speech about how he makes trains look beautiful.
A man takes care of his own. A man has a job. He's not a criminal who goes around scrawling on the subways.
How come a man's what you say? I'm a graffiti writer. I'm an artist. I don't just throw up little tags all over the place. I make them trains beautiful.
It's just the stupidest thing I ever saw. We were talking about graffiti. Dan is going to do something that has to do with graffiti. Is that a good enough description?
That's it. I'm not thinking about this.
Graffiti Dan, 2-minute portrait. Ready, Mark? Get set, go. Now, graffiti is a part of New York culture and a part of New York City, and it was probably more prevalent in the 70s. Graffiti was a big thing all over the trains, all over the buildings, and it annoyed many people, but there were a lot of people out there that thought it was cool to say, "Hey, you know what? If it's artistic and they're going to make the trains look better, it's wonderful." And I used to think, what are you talking about? Sometimes it was actually pretty cool, but sometimes it was retarded. And the thing I remember most about graffiti is when somebody drew a graffiti tag, when they did their name, you couldn't understand it. It was just like scribble with a couple of stars where they would normally dot the I's. I like that. I'm sure there's going to be a can of spray paint there. Okay, so I had a friend, his name was Richie, and he was from not a great neighborhood. And I remember being in a train with him, and I said to him, "Look at this graffiti, I can't understand what it says." And he said, "What are you talking about?" It says, "Shorty 257. I had no idea. I couldn't read. It looked like a lot of scribble. Now, your hat's kind of covering what you're doing, but that's okay. I'm sure we're going to get it. Okay, he's moving over. I don't know what those are. Are those subway windows? What are those? Oh, look at, oh, they're big letters. You're at about 1 minute right now, by the way. Oh, that is looking good already. See, I know exactly right now what you're doing. If I did not do an intro, I think our viewers would be absolutely certain of what you were trying to draw. And I think what you're doing is a reference to our discussion tonight because it's iBarFridays. Now, one thing I remember about graffiti, at least graffiti from the 70s, is anytime they dotted the I, it was a big star, a big, in-your-face, scribbly star. And there it is. That's look. That's great. This man has talent. Are you sure you didn't grow up in the New York City subway system? I think you definitely did. Right off the top of his head, this is my request, by the way. I'm the one that said this is what I want. And there's the S, and you can see just a hint of the S. And look how he just lays the whole thing out. You know exactly what it says. Now, those are those shorts that he's wearing, or are they just long pants? Could you give him like big, clumsy feet like they used to do in the 70s? Like, you know, remember Truckin'? Remember that poster, the Truckin', all the people with great big feet as they walk? There you go. Now you're talking 70s. You are at 2 minutes. It's okay. You get a 30-second bonus round. If you want to color it, it's okay, but I honestly don't think you need to. I'm getting the message. Here it is. Look at this. iBarFridays. If graffiti artists would immortalize us on the trains, this is pretty much what it would look like. Of course, you know, iBarFridays didn't exist in the 70s, but that's okay. It's beautiful. Look at that head of hair. I used to have a head of hair like that way back when, in the 70s. I think you did too. I saw some pictures of you from back then. This is great. I think we have used up our limit. You're out of bonus points. I need you to sign it. I need you to sign it. Always sign. That's beautiful. In the style of graffiti. Ah, it's beautiful. iBarFridays. 2-minute portrait. By Dan DePaolo, 129. Back up a little. Back up a little. Ah, that's beautiful. Dan, you've done it again. Well, Dan, it's been one hell of a walk down memory lane.
One hell of an iBar.
Until next week.
See you on the flip side.
10-4, good buddy.
I should have never told you were a good director.